Hello Tech Pros, episode 117.
When people say things like, Chad won't be interested, he's shy, or Chad's an introvert, because people love to label us.
Right.
And when people say that, I want you to speak up and say, hang on, no, just because I'm an introvert doesn't mean that I don't want to do this.
Welcome to the podcast where I chat with professionals who are getting the job done using technology 7 days a week. Each week we start with Motivation Monday. Tuesday is about productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and Sunday, being unplugged. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Christina Canners. Happy Friday, Christina.
Thanks, Chad. Happy Friday to you too.
Are you ready to bust this episode out so that we can get ready to party on the weekend?
Oh, I'm so ready. So ready. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm excited.
You bet. I'm excited too. Christina Canners is a Melbourne-born entrepreneur and founder of the C Method. Through her training, workshops, and coaching, she helps driven young professionals and business owners be more effective at public speaking and communication. A passionate and engaging speaker, Christina has spoken at organizations and conferences in Australia, the US, and the Philippines. And you can subscribe to her podcast called Stand Out and Get Noticed at thecmethod.com. And that's the letter C. So the letter C, and then method.com. Christina, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today because today is People Friday on Hello Tech Pros. And you know what? What I found throughout my career is it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Absolutely. I fully agree.
So what we want to do here is, help the technical professionals kind of really understand why that is so important. And as we've talked before, you know my history. You know that I come from this very introverted, shy kid background who does not like talking to people, does not like creating relationships with people. That's not been my comfort zone. But throughout my career, I learned that it's very, very important to do that. And you are an expert at communication. You're an expert at confidence and teaching people, you know what, you don't have to be worried about the sound of your voice or, the content or whatever you're nervous about, but you can be confident and really help people that are uncomfortable, like I have been in the past and that I still struggle with today, to be more confident to do whatever they want to do. So start a podcast or just go up and shake somebody's hand and create an introduction. Why did you get into this space?
Well, I used to be an architect. So I was in a very technical career as well. I studied it for 6 years, and then I got a job at a large company, and I was doing a lot of design. I was doing a lot of drafting, and if anyone who knows any architects or is in that profession, there's a huge technical aspect to it. You're doing a lot of drawing, everything's got to be really precise and all of that, and you're presenting these drawings to people. And as I was working as an architect, I saw how important it was to be able to speak and communicate well and to be able to present your work to people who didn't understand design, so your clients and other consultants. And it's something that they don't teach you in architecture school. Now, in architecture school, it was like consistently, every 2 weeks or every week, it'd be like, get up there, present your project, go away, design it, get up there, present your project. And it was horrible. It was so nerve-wracking. I hated it. The tutors were often really mean and they would tear you to shreds in front of the entire class. It was not a great introduction to public speaking. But they never taught us how to do it. And they never told us that this was going to be the most valuable skill to have when you're working in the real world. So when I got into the real world, I actually learned, just backtrack a little bit, I took a class outside my architecture classes in business and professional communications because I was like, I need to get better at presenting. I want to, because I hate this so much. It is so nerve-wracking. And I learned in that class that speaking and confidence is a skill that you can learn. And so I took what I learned from that class, I applied it to my architecture presentations, and I had a lot of success with it. I thought, oh my goodness, this works. So when I started working, I put my hand up to do things. I would give presentations. I would join committees. Because this was a large company. This was there are about 120 people in one office, in that particular office. And it was very easy to sit behind your desk, sit at your computer, do your work, not talk to anyone, and go home. And the problem with that is that no one knows who the hell you are. Mm-hmm. But what I did was I joined committees, I put my hand up, I got involved, I was in the social club, I organized events. And from that, I was given amazing opportunities. When they had redundancies, I wasn't fired, I wasn't let go. And I got to do awesome training. People knew who I was. People picked me to do cool things. And that's when I learned how valuable it was. So I started a podcast. Well, there's a few other things that happened, but essentially I got disillusioned with working for someone else, and I wanted to quit and leave. And I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach architecture students and graduates to be better at public speaking. And so that's how I got into this area of public speaking. And during that time, when I was doing that podcast, I learned that, yes, I am really good at this. Yes, this is something I can help other people with. And long story short, I did that for 9 months, and I've since switched to Stand Out, Get Noticed. And I don't just work with people in the architecture industry. I work with people who are a little bit older than graduate level. So most people I work with are aged 25 to late 30s, mm-hmm. and they're either young professionals who want to take it to the next level in their career, or they are business owners who've been doing it for a few years and realize that they need to start speaking to people, and they need to start speaking to groups if they want to take their business to the next level.
Christina, I applaud you for this, because there's not enough people in the world, in my opinion, teaching us this skill set. And it really is a skill set that we can learn and develop. I've been slowly learning and developing some of these skills over the last 10 or 15 years, and it's absolutely changed my career and changed my life, really, on just knowing that you can raise your hand, you can stand up, you can be confident, you can speak to other people, and they will listen. And by volunteering and getting involved and being social, it's probably, in my opinion, at least in my history, it's been the best thing for my career ever. Mm-hmm. I used to think it was all about the technology, that you had to be the best technical person, solve all the technical problems. And what I found is, if you just do that, but don't focus on any of the social aspects, if you don't talk to people about how difficult the problems are you're trying to solve, or talk to them about, is this really the problem that we need to be solving, then you're just wasting a lot of time. You're doing a lot of work, and you're working on stuff that nobody cares about. But meanwhile, the whole company and the culture around you is kind of moving and flowing and ebbing, and they're making this decisions without you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if you're dealing with clients, people external to the company, they want to work with people who they get along with. It doesn't matter how good you are technically. People would prefer to work with people who aren't as good technically, but they can talk to, right? And this is, I think, in my opinion, this is why you see a lot of ugly buildings go up, because they're not good architects, they're not good designers, but they're good at talking. So I thought, you know what, I want to help people who are talented at design, or do have great technical skills. I want to help them to get their work put out there and get the attention that they deserve.
So that the ugly buildings really got me, because I saw, as a technical professional in software development, I saw a lot of people who I considered, I judged them unfairly, but I consider them not very strong technically, getting promotions, getting raises, getting, awesome projects that they got put on, got to travel around to go to different engagements and stuff like this. And I was like, this sucks, man. Mm-hmm. Me and Christina and this other guy and this other girl, we are the rock stars that know all the stuff. Like, we're the smartest technical people in the room. How come we four are not getting promoted, right? How come this other person, is just because they dress nice and they have a pretty smile and they talk to people and they're outgoing? That's not fair, but it works.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what can we do to kind of get the foundations of this? So let's say that we have a person, I don't know, we'll call him Chad, and he's very, very, very self-conscious about speaking out. He's very nervous. He's very scared about, in at work. Like, you got to be pretty vulnerable to put yourself out here and say, "Hey, I've got an idea." Because what if your idea sucks and nobody likes it, and they're going to think you're horrible because you came up with this idea? Like, how can we talk this person into, here's some basics, here's some baby steps that you can do to be more confident and to start speaking?
One thing you can do is to ask yourself the question, what is the worst that could happen? Like the absolute worst that could happen. Are you going to get fired? Are you going to die? Are they going to come and raid your house? I don't think so. When I was a grad, I joined they called it the presentation committee at my work. And there were a few different committees. And the CEO and the board of directors had requested that a member of each, or representative of each committee, go and present to the board about the committee, because we just got a new CEO. So we wanted to know what was going on in the company. And the chair of our committee announced it to the group and said, "Hey, so this is what we need to do. Someone needs to get up and give a presentation to the board. Who wants to do it?" Everyone looked down and tried to avoid eye contact with the chair and was kind of like, "Oh, I'm not doing it. They can do it. Everyone was like looking at each other and going, "No." And I kept quiet because I was a new grad, and I was like, what are the chances they would actually send a 24-year-old grad girl to go speak to the CEO and the board of directors? I thought, there's no way. Because I thought, what a great opportunity. But then I thought, no, there's no way they would send me. And then I went away and I thought about it. And I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Like, if I just ask, what's the absolute worst? And then I thought, the worst they could say is no. But then I figured at least that they would, give me kudos for at least offering, right? I thought there's absolutely nothing bad can come out of this. All I'd get is a no, which I would understand. If they said you're a young grad, we'd rather send someone with more experience, I'd be like, totally fine, not my fault. I can't help that. So I was so nervous. I went up to the chair of the committee and I said, "Hey, so have you got anyone yet to do that presentation?" He said, No, I'm thinking I might have to do it, really. And I said, well, I mean, I don't mind doing it if no one else is happy to do it. And he said, "Oh, really? That would be amazing." And he looked relieved. He said, "Honestly, everyone else in the group is going to be relieved that it's not them." And I was like, wow, okay. So I put together this presentation and some of the guys helped me with the PowerPoint. And I asked one of the older members to go in with, one of my older colleagues to go in with me to help answer any questions if I didn't know the answers. But I went in there, there was 12 middle-aged men in this dark boardroom. And here's me, this bubbly little, "Hey, hi everyone," this bubbly little girl, going in there to tell them all about this committee. And the presentation went well. I was able to answer questions and my colleague was able to help with the answers too. And it was it was a great experience and nothing bad came from it. And in fact, I believe that presentation, that put me in front of the most important people, all the decision makers in that company. And they knew exactly who I was and they knew that I was outgoing and that I did stuff. And I believe that is what helped me to move up in that company. And when I finally resigned, the new CEO, who did not even know me, he'd just come on, but he met with the other directors and he came up to me and he said, "We don't want you to leave. We want to offer you this. Please stay. I've heard that everyone says that you are great with what you do." And I said, "Thanks, but no thanks. I'm still leaving."
Wow.
But still, the fact that they did that meant a huge amount. And I'm certain that what I did in my early days to get in front of those influential, important people made that difference.
That's an incredible story because it all started with you being the only person in the room that said, "Yeah, sure, I'll go talk to him. Like, no big deal. Okay, I don't think you'll pick me, but if you want to pick me, you can, and I would gladly do it." Why do you think no one else in the room wanted to do it? Is it because that they didn't know how, or they didn't want to? They didn't want to be in that position? What was it?
They were all architects and graphic designers, all technical people, and they were all afraid of public speaking. Simple as that. They didn't want to put themselves out there. It's too scary. Oh my God, I've got to present to the board. Like, scariest thing ever? No. But I was like, hey, scariest thing ever, let's go for it. The fact that, and I do this with, on my podcast, I like to do things that scare me, and then I document them on the show to show people that you don't need to have decades of experience to build up your speaking abilities or your confidence. You can start doing this today. And I truly believe that if something scares you, it means that it's worth doing, and it means that you have to do it. So if you have something come up at work, an opportunity where your immediate gut reaction is, hell no, like there is no way I'm doing that. That is an indication that you need to get out of your comfort zone and put yourself out there and go do that thing. Because I tell you what, when you do and that thing and you pull it off, and even if you don't, but you give it a go, firstly, you might surprise yourself. And secondly, the empowerment, that empowering feeling that you get after having achieved that, it's like nothing else. And that will then give you the confidence to go on and keep doing bigger and better things. And next thing you'll be thinking, I don't even know how I got here. I can't even believe that I've done all these things.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so true. If it scares you, you need to do it. A great buddy of mine named Curtis said, you know what, if it's painful, but it's good for you, you need to be doing it more often. And he was talking about something in the technical world in software development called unit testing, right? Where you kind of test your code before you put it out and all this kind of stuff. But it's a painful process to change an organization or to change yourself. And I said, dude, that could be applied to anything in your life, right? Anything that you need to change and do, that change is painful. But if it's good for you, then that means you need to be doing it more often, not just, every now and then get up and present to the board. But dude, every time you have the opportunity to get up and speak in front of the board or speak in front of anybody, it's going to help your career. It's going to help you, your confidence just as a person, and open up more opportunities in your life. Then you need to take those chances, take those opportunities every single time you get them.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Awesome. So we have this opportunity. Once the opportunity comes up, we grab it, we take it. Now, what's the next step? We were brave, we raised our hand, we volunteered, and then we're like, oh crap, what did I just get myself into? Like, what can we do to actually prepare for this event and get ready for the presentation for the board or whatever the big thing is that we're going to have to do?
Well, firstly, congratulations on taking the step.
Yay! Yay! I hope I don't vomit.
Now, once you've vomited, then you come back to reality. And if it's a presentation that you're giving at work, you need to understand what is the goal of this presentation and who are the people that you're speaking to. Okay, so for example, a presentation you give to the board to try and convince them to take on X initiative, that's going to be a very different presentation to the one you give to the entire staff that's a more informative presentation about a project that you're working on, right? So you need to know who are the people that you're speaking to and what is their knowledge already of that project. Because I know that I know technical people tend to, when you're so involved with what you're doing and you know your project inside out, it's very easy to sort of forget that other people don't have that same level of knowledge as you. Right. So you need to start very, very simply. And I know that like techie people, analytical people, they want to dive straight into the details first. But the thing is, when you're speaking to decision makers, the decision makers are generally in that position because they're good at talking to people, right? They've worked their way up and they're normally very short on time. They can be quite impatient and they just want to hear what the thing is. So in terms of, there's so much to prepping a presentation and like there's way more than we can discuss right here on this podcast. Sure. But if you want a quick way to start prepping that presentation and figuring out what you're going to say, figure out what the thing, okay, I want you to picture 4 quadrants. You got a circle, picture 4 quadrants. In the first quadrant, there's what. The second quadrant, there's why. In the third quadrant, there's what if. There's how, and in the fourth quadrant is what if. Now, these quadrants represent all the different personality types you'll be speaking to. The what people are the directors. They're the people who are impatient. They're like, tell me what the thing is right now. Like, just what is it? Just no detail. Just tell me what the thing is. They're focused on results. The why people are the social people who are like me going, well, why is this important? Why should I care? I want to go and have fun. Like, tell me why I should be doing this. The how people are the analytical techie people who are like, yes, but how are we going to do this? What's the step-by-step process? And then the what if people are the doubters who go, yeah, but what if this doesn't work? What if that doesn't work? So when you're prepping your presentation, you need to hit all 4 of those quadrants. So you might start a presentation and say, okay, hey everyone, this is what we're talking about today. We're working on this, which is going to lead to this, right? That's the what. Then you move on to, and why is this important? Because if we do this, then it's going to impact rah, rah, rah. So that's the why. And then you go into, now how are we going to do it? The mistake that a lot of techie people make is that they go straight for the how at the very beginning. They go straight into the detail. And for someone like me who's watching, the detail just bores me. I don't care about the detail. I just want to know what the thing is and why I should be listening. So if you can hit those, the what and the why people first, even if you just make this one little tweak to your presentation, make it very simple, very clear, test your opening sentence on someone who from outside the project, right? It's kind of like a one sentence sort of elevator pitch for that presentation. Like this is what we're working on, and this is what we're presenting today. Boom, quick, done, so that they know what it is and they can move on, okay? But do not go into the details right away. And then for the what if people, you need to think about what are the questions that they're going to ask? What are the objections that might come up? They might be saying, yeah, but what if that? What if that? Have you thought about this? And that's where you can prep answers to those questions that you can predict, and then happily answer them when those questions come up.
Oh, Christina, this is brilliant. This is so good. And I'm like kicking myself thinking, why didn't I talk to Christina like 20 years ago and understand this stuff back when I was first starting my career? Because this would have made such a huge difference in not just in my career, but just everything, right? Anytime I'm having a conversation with somebody and I'm fired up about whatever it is, and I need to convince them to give me a loan, I need to convince them to lower their prices, I need to convince them that, yes, honey, we do need to invest in a new piece of gadgetry for the house, right? That I can go down this list and hit the what, the why, the hows, and the what ifs in that order, or specifically to the types of people, to the types of personality that we're presenting to. So Christina, in just a moment, I've got a lot of questions on this particular process and how it's affected you and the people that you coach and train. But first, we're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by Minio Cloud Storage. Minio is a cloud object storage server for developers and DevOps written in Go. The Go programming language is the emerging language of choice for modern cloud infrastructure projects, and it allows Minio to be highly concurrent and lightweight. Minio is Amazon S3 compatible, built with microstorage architecture in mind, but at its heart, Minio is simple, scalable, and supported by a passionate developer and user community. In episode 89 of Hello Tech Pros, I talked with A.B. Periasamy, one of the founders of Minio, about the importance of community support and recruiting software developers who are as passionate about their product's code as artists are of their art. Check out that episode at hellotechpros.com/89 and check out Minio Cloud Storage at minio.io. That's minio.io. Okay, we're back with Christina Canters. We've been talking to Christina about confidence and about public speaking and communication. And first of all, why it's important to be the one that raises your hand and volunteers and says, yeah, dude, I'll take that. I'll go talk to the board of directors. No problem. When even on the inside, you just want to throw up in your mouth because it sounds like the most nerve-wracking process ever. But when do you get the chance? Are you ever going to get another chance to talk to the most influential people in the company that's going to have the biggest impact on your career or your ideas, your projects, or whatever? Be that person that stands up and says, yeah, I'll do it. And then second of all, be the person that just talks and networks and figures out like what people's different personalities are and what they care about. And then thirdly, Christina broke it down for step by step of what you need to think about, the mindset of who you're talking to and the things that are on their mind when you're going into this conversation. So she said, Christina, you said, break it up into a quadrant. So think of a 4-quadrant system, right? And each quadrant has a word or phrase, and it's what, how, why, and what if. And so what are those directors? They're those people that are just like, get to the bottom line. I want tell me what the thing is and let's move on. And then the why are the social people. They're like, why should I care about this? Like, I've got so many things going on and I'm so invested on this. Like, pull me into the problem and make me care about what we're talking about. And then we get to the how, and those are the analytical people, and that's who, like, I tend to fall into that category quite frequently, right? And so since I tend to fall into that category, I tend to talk about that category first. I talk about the analytics and the data and this is what we're going to do and this is how it's going to plug in, and that only works like if you're talking to how people. Otherwise, nobody cares. You're just rambling about technical stuff. And then the what if are the doubters. They're the Eeyores. They're the people that are like, yeah, but it's not going to work because of whatever. What if it falls apart? What if your idea sucks? What if nobody buys it? What if we spend a lot of money and don't see the results? What if? So, Christina, when you started implementing this, like, what was the impact on your speaking, on your presentations? What did you see as a result once you switched from just presenting in your own natural style to kind of hitting this tactical style?
Well, firstly, you summed up that quadrant thing better than I did, so well done.
Thank you. I'm a quick learner.
I found that my natural style is to be the why. You know, this is. I'm kind of like, this is so fun, guys. This is awesome. This is fun. This is why you should do this. Blah 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 blah. And I found that when you start to address the what people first, firstly they're the decision makers. And I've used this strategy more so when speaking with potential clients or speaking with decision makers. So when you're speaking to a group, when you hit the what people first, that's going to keep them engaged. So I found that I had more engagement when you say the what first, right? And then you move on to the why. But I found this particularly useful when speaking with potential clients. So, for example, I do one-on-one coaching for young professionals and business owners, and people come to me for help with different things. But one example is I had one client come to me. She needed help being more concise and how to speak with authority when she was at work. And she was a very why person. So when I was explaining to her about the services I offer and how it all works, it was more focused on, okay, this is what we're gonna. It was sort of more relationships focused and how fun it was going to be and how she'd be able to improve at work and have better relationships at work, you know, and sort of looking at the results and why this was important. And then I had another woman call me up, and we hadn't spoken in a while. We'd met once, and then she called me up a few months later, and she said, hey, so I'm interested. This is like literally how the conversation went. She goes, hi, Christina. So can you tell me about your coaching? Like straight out. Like some people are more into the rapport building. Say, hi, how's it going? Yeah, so I've been doing this, I've been doing that. No, this woman was straight to the point. Tell me about your coaching. So I could tell straight away that she was an analytical, and I knew because she was from a tech background as well. So I figured, nice. Okay, she's from an analytical, she's got an analytical sort of way of thinking. So I stepped it out for her, and I said, okay, so what we do is we first establish what you want the result to be, and then from there I design a program for you where we go through step by step, and each week we look at this, and then we look at this, and then we look at this, and it costs this much. And I went through that whole like step-by-step process of how it works. And, you know, we meet here, and this is how long sessions go for. Whereas if I'm speaking to someone like me, I'm like, I don't really care. Just tell me how I'm going to feel at the end of it. You know, tell me what results I'm going to have. So it's so important when you're speaking to people. This is so valuable when you're at work. When you're asking questions or giving a presentation, to be aware of those different personality styles, right? So if I'm asking you a question, Chad, I'm not going to say to you, hey, Chad, so when's that project due? Because you'll be like, well, tell me more about, I don't know, you'd be like,
what are the priorities? Which parts do you want?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I need more information. So the way I would ask you a question would be, hey, Chad, so you know that project that I'm working on, so far I've done A, B, and C, and there's been a bit of a delay with D and E, but it's looking like we might be able to deliver by this date. However, we might be a day late. What do you think? Like, what's the priority? And then you are much more informed to answer that question, as opposed to if you were a what person, where it's like, just give me the results. I would go to you and say, hey, Chad, project's going to be delayed by 1 day. Cool. And then you would be like, well, no, not cool. But if I was to go up to you and say, you know, we've done this, you'd be like, just get to the point. Like, I don't care about what you've done already. I don't care what's working, what's not. Just tell me what the question is, what's the end result going to be, and how is the end result affected? So it makes a huge difference in the way that you even communicate one-on-one.
You know, Christina, I've taken a lot of like personality assessments, like the DISC method and Myers-Briggs and a lot of that stuff. And afterwards, after the assessment, there's this conversation about how different personality types think a different way. But I love your method because of the simplicity. You're just breaking it down into actually actionable steps of just, these are the 4 types of people that you're going to be talking to, and this is what they want to hear. And at the end of the day, that's, I think, in my opinion, because I'm the analytical person, that's what we need to get out of these personality types, right? Is just, what do I need to say to this person? I'm trying to convince them of something. I'm trying to convince them that they need to spend more money, or that they need to delay us a day in the project, or that they need to prioritize this feature over that feature. That's the result that I'm trying to get. Now, how I'm going to present or how I'm going to ask them that question or give them that information is just based off of one of these 4 different archetypes. And so if I know that they're a what, then I'm going to deliver that. If they're a how, then I'm going to deliver a lot more information. So it sounds like, you know, this would be great in one-on-one, but it'd also be great in group dynamics to really understand your audience and try to figure out like kind of the mix of how many people are the what's, how many people are the hows, right? Maybe I'm not talking to the board of directors. Maybe that's the end goal of, I want to get to the board of directors, but first I got to go to my manager, then I got to go to like a little committee, and then I got to go to like a super committee, right, before they're going to send me to the board. So how do I do my research and homework? Of course, I know my boss. I know his or her style, right? But what about, okay, now I'm going to go to the next level. I'm going to go to this committee of people before I go to the board. Like, how much time should I spend on the what's and the whys versus the hows and the what ifs?
Well, you've got to see who the decision maker is, first and foremost. So you need to figure out who are the influential people within that committee. And they could be a committee full of technical people, right? They could be a committee full of analytical people, in which case you would want to spend most of your time on that analytical component of it. You know, so it depends on who you're speaking to. I've heard of people going in for job interviews where they got along really, really well with one person, and they were like, yep, sweet, got the job. And then had to go back for a second interview because the analytical person didn't get all the information they needed. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to ask more questions so that they could go into more detail. So yeah, that's the simplest thing. You need to find out who these people are. And if you can't figure it out, ask someone. Say, hey, so that guy, the chair of that committee, do you know if he's like a super details focused person, or is he does he speak kind of quickly and just wants things done quickly? Because then you know he's a what, right? If someone speaks very quickly, they don't make much small talk, they just like come up to you and be like, hey, when's that project going to be done? And you're a bit like, whoa, hello, good morning, how are you? Then you know they're a very direct person. If someone comes up to you and you can tell they're analyzing, so we did this and we've done blah, 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 and that you can, maybe they're more of an analytical person. So ask other people, how direct they are, or do they like details, and then change your presentation to suit that accordingly. And you can also gauge how you go. Like if you're in the presentation and people start asking about details, I mean, I've read books about pitching and they say like never go into the details too soon. You've got to sell them on the big idea first. But it depends. If you're in a room of super analysts, then you'll have to, tailor it to suit them more.
Yeah, I would say in my experience, even if you're in a room full of analytical people, there's still a part of their soul, if we have any. There's a part of their soul that still wants the what and still wants the why, right? So even me as an individual, like, depending on what we're talking about, if you start just immediately going into the analytical stuff, but I really have absolutely no context of what we're talking about, then it's just theory. And then my heart's not in it and I don't really care what the outcome is. If you tell me this thing and we're going to do this thing, and then you start diving into all the analytics, and I'm like, whoa, that's not a thing that I am concerned about right now, because my why is pointed somewhere else. My why is on some other priority. Like, I want that conversation to really engage me and inspire me to care about your why. And then, okay, now I want like tons and tons of data, because I'm an analytical person. But even me as an individual, if you're trying to pitch Chad, hey, if you want to pitch Chad, contact me at chad@hellotechpros.com. But if you want to pitch Chad, establish the what and the why, because it's still important to me, even though I am an analytical person. And then, be sure to back it up with lots and lots of data. Christina, I know, man, we could talk about this stuff all day long, because I'm an analytical person and I could totally dive into the nuts and bolts on making all of this work. But we've already lost our what audience. They dialed out a long time ago. So why we should engage with you in the future? I know that I'm going to be listening to you a lot more on your Stand Out and Get Noticed podcast. But if you could just kind of sum it up for us here with some parting words of wisdom for the audience, and then the best way that we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on. This has been a blast. I love talking about this stuff, as you can understand. And some parting words, it's important to know that you can learn this stuff. And this is what you demonstrate yourself, Chad, on this show. Like, you say that you used to be shy, but the way that, when we met, I could not pick that at all, right? And you say you get into character, you have these ways that you do it. And I think you're an incredible demonstration of, yes, you can be shy, or you can be an introvert, but you can learn to put yourself out there and you can build up this skill. So so for people listening, I don't want you to think to yourself, oh, it's just the way I am, or I've always been this way. And if people tell you, and I want you to, when people say things like, Chad won't be interested, he's shy, or Chad's an introvert, like, because people love to label us, right? And when people say that, I want you to speak up and say, hang on, no, just because I'm an introvert doesn't mean that I don't want to do this. And you don't have to accept that. Like, when people tell you, oh, she's shy, she doesn't want to speak, she probably won't want to do it, don't take that. Be like, hey, I might be shy, but I'm still willing to give it a go.
Nice.
Okay. So know that you can learn and you can grow, right? I used to be terrified of public speaking, and I thought that's how I was. I thought that's just the way public speaking is, just a terrifying experience. But then I learnt that you can actually learn how to be better at it. And since then, I've been moving up and up and up, and people now say to me, oh, you're such a natural. And I find that hilarious, because I'm like, yes, I've naturally been practicing for years and years, and that's enabled me to get to this point. So, and you mentioned this at the start, you've got to get started. Get started, even if it's as simple as putting up your hand to ask a question in a meeting, as simple as that. You don't have to go and present to the board. Put your hand up and ask a question instead of waiting till the end of the meeting and then asking afterwards. Right. Put your hand up and ask in front of everyone else, and stop caring about whether it's a dumb question or analyzing whether it's a dumb question or not. Just ask the damn question. All right. So if you want to learn more about what I do, if you want to learn more about being confident and building up your speaking skills, whether that's public speaking or networking or having conversations in social situations, you can check out my podcast, Stand Out, Get Noticed, in iTunes and all other podcast directories, or go to thecmethod.com.
Awesome. And if you want a really quick blurb on how Chad learned confidence, how I learned confidence, and a little bit of public speaking by playing Dungeons and Dragons, true story, you can go to thecmethod.com/podcasters. I'll have that linked up in the show notes here today. This is, what are we at? This is episode 117 for all you analytical people. You can go to hellotechpros.com/117. You'll get all of the ideas and all the takeaways and the resources that we've been talking today, including how to get in contact with Christina and to listen to all her stuff, including the story about how I learned how to talk playing Dungeons and Dragons. Christina, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. I really value your insight and your wisdom and your experience and your helpfulness, and appreciate you taking time out of your busy Friday to spend time with us.
Thanks so much, Chad.
Tech Pros, man, just like raise your hand, ask a question, get involved, do something, even if you're uncomfortable, even if you're shy, even if it's very, very painful inside for you to do that, do it anyway, because it's good for you. And if it's good for you, you need to be doing it more often. You need to be doing it as often as you can, because you can learn this stuff. You can grow, you can change. It's not something that it's you and you're never going to get good at. You can get good at, but you're going to have to practice. You've been listening to Christina Cantors, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/117. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe to this channel, and check back tomorrow. This has been People Friday, but tomorrow my featured guest and I discuss entrepreneurship. On Sunday, being unplugged. Monday, motivation. Tuesday, productivity. Wednesday, leadership. Thursday, technology. And then back again on Friday to talk people and communication. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.